I call to order the meeting of the North County Board of Elections. I ask all the board members to identify themselves. Bill?
I'm Bill Case. Marty Carpenter.
Richard Ashton.
Craig Kennedy.
Donna Dixon, Director.
All right. Craig, would you lead us in the pledge of allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Does any board member present have a conflict of information about the items we're going to address in today's meeting?
I have no conflict. No conflict.
No conflict. Okay. You have before you the agenda, and the first item to consider is the absentee ballots and how they're processed. And I ask you all to review what is written on the agenda. Make sure you understand, because we will be making a motion, if everyone's in agreement, to accept this process. So please take a minute or two, if you haven't already, review these activities, these processes, so that you fully understand what action we're going to take.
I have just one question before we vote on it. I'm trying to remember how we did ballot duplication outside of the absentee board meeting before. We did that. We have done that in the past, have we not?
Yeah.
And is this the same policy we've always had, where 3 staff members, no more than 2 of the same affiliation, and then it says actually 4 if you can? Is that how we've done it? I'm just not aware of how we did that before.
Yeah, that's the way it's been done.
Okay.
And then remember, we review them even after they duplicate them.
Yeah.
Each board member, we actually compare the original and then the duplicate.
And not that I need to know what everybody's political affiliation is, but I guess I'm assuming that when staff does this, we do have enough diversity in their affiliations. I mean, I don't know
Yeah,
anybody's affiliation for sure.
We have an unaffiliated and someone who is affiliated with a party in the office, so we are able to do that bipartisan. Now, I mean,
Okay.
if you'd like us to, we can have somebody else. We can have like Kim come in and help us do it if you
We've done
prefer.
that before.
Yeah,
If, say, one of the parties is not here, we've called in a resource worker of a different party, and we have a log. So we'll put down who did what and what their party affiliation is. So there is a log that we keep when we duplicate a ballot.
Is that allowed to, that's not a staff member though? It doesn't sound.
Well, they are a regular resource worker. So they are considered staff because they've worked here in the office over a number of years.
Temporary staff worker.
Yes, it's like a temporary staff worker.
Do you document the names of the persons?
Yes,
So to be able, if there was any question, you'd be able to trace back
exactly.
to see what their affiliation was.
Yes. So each time we duplicate a ballot, or each time we duplicate ballots, whether it's 2 or 20, there's a log made on that date. And we actually record who's the recorder, who yells it out, and if we're able to have 4, and most likely we normally do, we have 1 or 2 people watching, and all those names are recorded. So we can go back if there is an issue.
Is this a common practice in other boards
Yes, sir.
I know it's permitted by law, but
Yes,
is it-
sir.
commonly used.
Yes, sir, it is. Usually I refer to Wake County, so they do the same, but usually they usually have enough staff because they have 33 in the office, but if you're in a smaller office, we'll use staff and then we'll bring in poll workers who are under oath, so they know that what they're doing, they have to make sure that they're doing everything required by the law and everything is jotted down as to who's doing what. And along with myself, I also observe what my staff is doing to make sure that everything is done properly as well.
But within our office, we're covered for both parties and unaffiliated.
Yes.
So we don't need to bring somebody else in unless people are sick during that time frame. And
Correct.
we don't have a quorum for all practical purposes. Okay.
Correct. Yes, sir.
I have one question. It's not directly on point to this, but I think it's related. And it has to do with the training we got in the last training session, which
State conference.
was a surprise. Yes. And I was surprised. And I think what we were told there was that we as board members should not be, what was it, filling out the, I think we weren't supposed to be filling out the
Duplication.
ballots ourselves, which has been our practice in the past. And I don't know, does that put more of a load on the staff to do that then? I think the idea was, well, we might have to be voting as a board on that. If there's a question that comes up, we shouldn't be doing it ourselves. So I don't know that we've taken any formal action as a board relative to that issue.
But before, when Glenda was here, just say we had 2 overseas ballots that came in by email and they had to be duplicated.
Right.
And she would just ask us, do you want to do it? And we just kind of volunteered, yeah, we'll do it. Richard and I would team up, or, a Republican Democrat team up, and we would do it. And then y'all would, the other 2 would get to inspect it. But I know back in 2016, when we had so many, we had to have staff. I think you had a team that just duplicated ballots, and then we just had to review them because I know we had stacks of them.
Well, I'm just raising the question whether or not we are no longer as board members going to be filling out the
And yeah, so
overseas ballots.
normally any ballot that would have got duplicated, the board would have done. But in the last conference, they want the board to remain as non-partial or partial as possible, not to have any conflict. So it's on a case-by-case basis. If you're in 2020 and you would have had all of those ballots to duplicate, then yes, we would have a bigger team here, because if not, it would take us a longer amount of time to do it. But with the amount that we have, we use staff. So we have to kind of look at what we're dealing with to determine how, and even with a team coming in, we still will have a law to write down the information so that if anyone is asking, they can see who was on the team and who did what.
So hearing that makes me say we don't need to duplicate any ballots
Yeah.
this time around. So,
And that's something that the state just put out, because normal practice, it was for the board to duplicate, but they have taken that away.
that's good.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Would it be easy to simply make a motion to approve the suggested delegation of preparatory steps to staff that are contained in our agenda for this year's election? That states it accurately enough without reading all this.
Because we have to do all 3. There's 3 different ones. Number 1 is delegation, and then scanning absentee ballots, and then ballot duplication. Yeah.
Okay, well, that's right. I stand corrected. That is true, that the agenda suggests all 3, delegation and preparatory steps to staff. What you said, Martin, scanning absentee ballots at absentee board meetings and ballot duplication. I would move that we adopt these policies as set forth in the agenda for the 2022 election.
I'll second that.
Any discussion on the recommendation? No discussion? Hearing no discussion, I move that we approve of your,
Well,
is that,
I think we've already moved. We just voted.
okay, done. I move that we vote.
Okay.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, it passes. Now, I've asked Tawana to give us a brief update about what's been going on relative to the budget and the preparation for the primary and the general election.
So at this moment, like I said, we have been doing all of our training. Most of our training will be done by the end of this week. So hopefully we will not be training any poll workers by the time early voting starts, which early voting starts next Thursday. But however, we are still looking for poll workers in 3 areas, which is Pine Bluff, West Aberdeen, and Taylortown. No, we're actually going to
Okay.
What's that? It was
Pine Bluff.
Pine Bluff, West Aberdeen, and
There's one more precinct
yes,
that we're just looking for a few more people, but actually Taylortown actually was good. We're actually completely full in that precinct, which is really great. So we're moving into getting everything situated as far as getting supplies packed and getting everything ready, which we're actually ahead of schedule with everything that's taking place with that. As far as the budget, yes, we did put in for the new position. I was able to speak with the county commissioner concerning that position to let them know the need that we have in the office, because with training over 300 something poll workers and still having to take care of the functions in the office, it took 4 of us to help each other out with training online, recalling, rescheduling people, helping Annie with the bulk of her training as she's also preparing the equipment. And so I have 2 petitions that I'm also doing at the same time. And so when we're pulled trying to take care of poll workers, it pulls us away from other duties that we've having to do as well. I know Annie has come in on weekends just to try to catch up. And I've stayed here with her at night so that we can make sure that we're getting everything done. So as we get closer to the budget, I will be calling on the board to kind of help me to explain, whoever's available during that time at the commissioners meeting, to help me to explain the need for that new position if they decide not to give it to us, but to really put a push in for that position so that we're more spread out in what we have to do and everybody can kind of keep on task on what their responsibilities are.
And
it's vast.
Oh, Bass was one of the other precincts.
do you have a draft of the budget for us to look at yet? And you and I have also had that conversation about possibility of new machines and what occurred during that testing period that may mean we probably do need to look
So
at new
during the
machines.
testing phase of it, we had upgraded our equipment. And when you upgrade the firmware, you had to upgrade the desktop as well. Well, the desktop can't be upgraded. The company gave us a laptop, but when they gave us the laptop to use, they didn't put any of the drivers that we use to plug in our equipment. And so that's what took. There was an issue that when we called to ask for another change to be made, the programmer didn't finish that last process, so we couldn't get into it. Then when they gave us the laptop, they didn't put any of the drivers on there, so we had to find the drivers and put the drivers on ourselves. And so we finally got the drivers on, where we could use our equipment to burn the cards, to read the data, to print the data. So I did make a call into ES&S, who is the company that deals with the Unity system, for a new desktop. However, my concern was I wanted to be able to get a desktop that could upgrade us if and possibly when we decided to move from the M100 to the DS200 as well. And so that is what we are looking at for the next budget year, is to make sure that the desktop that we get is able to upgrade. And because they are moving into, we're like at the bottom of the upgrade level, and we're trying to catch up. We already know that in the budget, even though it's not listed in the budget, the county is aware that eventually we are going to need new equipment because the M100s are reaching their shelf life. And so they've already told us that when we move into that process, that they will be in agreement to help us move into that process. So the money is there for the budget as far as getting new equipment. We still have the old equipment that we can turn in to also get a discount price with the old equipment as well.
How long does it take to put together, I guess, a draft plan on how many units we're going to need? Do we need to have a sample number of units to test in a municipal election before one of the either the off year or the 2024? So we have some specifics, how long it takes.
Well, I can give you, now the state does have a draft memo on the step, because there are steps, because before you can purchase any equipment, even though if you know that this is the equipment that you want to buy, you still have to look at another vendor. That vendor has to come in and they have to display their equipment. Then the vendor that you're looking at has to display their equipment. You have to have an open meeting for that equipment. So you invite your county commissioners, anybody that deals with the purse, they have to come to those demonstrations as well. So it takes about 3 to 4 months, because even after you've done all of that, you have your meeting, you make your motion of to what equipment you want to get to. You still have to send it to the state to let them see that you did every step of the process, who was in the meeting, when the vendors came, what the county is deciding what they want to do. And then the state makes the finalization for you to purchase the equipment, and then you go ahead and purchase the equipment.
So we're talking from start to finish, from the time you start the process until you have machines in hand, 7 months, 8 months, something like that.
Depending on
So I
when
guess we need
everybody's
to
available.
kind of look at a timetable for ourselves. When would we like to have those in place? And we're really kind of talking to be able to use going into the 2023 municipals, so that if we have to do a sample number of machines
You
to
have,
verify, then we'd be able to actually make the purchase for 2024.
yes.
So I guess we need to decide, which means we have to have money in the next budget to buy at least a sample number of machines. So I guess that's kind of what we have to look at for this current budget, and then some kind of a time frame that we can also show the commissioners.
Because this budget, if you even start, so if you start your process in the new budget year, July, and next year you have a municipal, but you don't have anything from that July of 2023, that's the best time to make your purchase, because you're not pulling out as much money because you don't have anything going on. So then when your new budget year comes in July of 2023, you can test it out in your municipal, and then you already have it ready for your next 2024 election.
And so you think we buy them in FY23 versus 22?
But we're in 22 now.
I'm sorry, FY24. So do we want to buy them during this next FY?
2023 before 2024, that's something that
Okay.
you could look at. And then there are some counties, depending on how you want to do it, because we did it in Hope, you can buy 10 first and use a mixture, which is, it's kind of hard because you got to flip back and forth, or you can go ahead and buy everything all at one time. It would be best to try to purchase everything all at one time so that everything is upgraded at the same time.
Okay.
Would there be any concern? I think I'm hearing you saying that if we were to buy new equipment, you would be able to, we'd like to do it in a way so that you can use it in the November 2023 election, and municipal election would be
Your trial, yes.
Mhm.
Now, my only other question is, given, would it be important to all, if you're gonna have it for use in November, would you wanna have the same equipment in use in the primary that year
Of 2024.
of 2023?
Well, you don't have your primary isn't until October. It's a municipal election. That's why I said
Oh,
your beginning year, you don't have anything going on.
okay, okay.
It's really this time, yeah.
It was, since very close in
Mhm.
time. Right. I was obviously getting at the point that
No, sir.
I would assume you'd only want one set of tabulators.
And that's why I said it would be good to, once the new budget year starts for 2022 going into 2023, you start the process. So by the time you get into the spring of 2023, like I said, you don't have as many things pulling on your budget because it's a municipal year and it falls into a new fiscal year. So that's kind of like the good best window to try, because you might be able to, and like I said, the county is gonna back everything up, but that's the best time to try to get everything done, because you're not trying to train, you're not trying to do anything. And then when you come into the municipal election starting in October, September.
So when is our budget to the county for 2023 due to be submitted to the county?
Well, we submitted something, but it's not finalized, so they have to review. So everything that we did, we didn't submit equipment because they told us we could put it in the budget, but because we have to follow those steps, if we don't meet the deadline for the county, then they just kind of pull the money back. So basically they're saying when you're ready to go, when you have finished the whole process, we'll just do a budget amendment and then put the money in and then pay for it right out. And then we'll be good to go instead of having to wait.
Well, then I guess when's the latest that we would be able to submit that amendment and get it in?
So you can submit the amendment anytime when you have an amendment to your budget.
Okay.
So can you send us a copy of the budget you submitted to, I guess, the commissioners?
Well, this one is just, it wasn't submitted to the commissioner. This one was just submitted to finance and they keep
Okay,
everything.
can we still get just a copy of what it is, so we can see what all is going on?
Okay.
Thank you.
Greg? Any questions? Any other questions for Lauren? Any new business that anyone wish to bring up?
Well, we need to do these, right? You'll receive.
We're gonna, after we do new business, we're gonna go through the ballots, correct?
Oh, didn't your motion cover those?
You have ballots to consider. They're on the
Oh,
table.
oh, I see what you're saying. Yes, that's right. I overlooked this. Yeah, I enjoyed being with you folks.
It's been a while.
Yes, it's been a while.
So,
Okay.
Amy, do they have to check the tabulator outside and make sure everything is zeroed out and clear?
Yes, so you go,
I guess
so I come over here. One ballot so that we'll start printing out the zero tape.
Zip nine.
And so, and just check that, it should say absentee, make sure it's the right election date. And so once,
You have your glasses on. You didn't bring mine.
so once we hit yes on the tabulator to open the polls, it'll print the zero tape, so you'll be able to look at it again, make sure there's nothing been fed through there, and we'll have you sign it.
Okay.
So, yes.
It's the Tuesday before.
somebody like myself. Is you right everywhere?
Charles, the chair.
No, but I wanted to,
I'm gonna text him later in the day, so
I wanted you to tell me, however, that it's transparent and successful. And, of course, in the very general state, immunization of the immune system being
All right, so you guys will sign that, and then what we'll do is, we'll keep that attached each week.
Mhm.
We'll just shut it off, and we'll close out the polls. So when we turn it back on, we're just adding to the same count. Okay, we will close it out to the Monday before election day.
so it's judges.
All right, for you to sign there. Zero as our opening count.
Yeah, we got an arm section, got some people in there. I'm sure she would do, yeah, we got some people in there. And that's just other areas.
That's not our job.
And I mean, that's a lot of time. It is. It is.
Completely checked.
Yes, that's exactly what we want.
Okay.
We're going to check them on. Yep. And you're always our ballot guy.
I got it. She's down.
That's why I think I should verify on the sheets, and y'all regularly do.
Okay, so how do you want to do the verification since you can?
So they can either get a few to make sure that they have it on.
Okay, so we've had some changes to how the meeting's conducted. You know that nice little number that we called out to verify? That is confidential. We are not allowed to call that out.
These numbers here.
Yes. And for the sake of time, you know, we don't have a lot this meeting, but if we potentially get a lot of ballots, calling out each name is gonna take a while too. So what, if you guys are okay with it, what we've kind of decided is we'll give you each a little stack each time, maybe 5 or 6 ballots. You verify they're all there, you'll each get a different stack, and that's just kind of a spot check that they're all there, because that is something you've delegated to us now, is that we will make sure all the ballots are there, that they're all in order, they're all filled out completely, and you guys are basically just approving them and tabulating them.
And then we will check, make sure that with the 4 of us, that we covered all the ballots. Well, like, I'm gonna check off the ones I've got. Mr. Case will check off his, and then we'll make sure at the end, okay, we've covered all the ballots.
If you, okay,
I
yeah,
just-
I guess I was thinking more of a sample count, because
Oh,
we can do it that way. if you want.
no,
I
the
guess-
sample count, if we start getting hundreds of ballots,
Well,
yes.
see, that's what my concern is that this may work great for the primary, checking all of them, but it may not work in November, so let's
I
be
agree,
prepared
I
that
agree.
it may have to turn into a spot check.
Yes, I agree.
Well, as I understand it, from what the rules were, can be re-educated on this, but I recall before that we are required as a board to do some degree of spot checking, to make sure all the signatures are correct, on at least, I think last time we said there would be at least, what, 3? Each board member would review 3
Something like that.
ballots.
And we can make
And-
we can
and
set a number if you'd like you each spot check 5 ballots, and that can be your check if you'd like.
Yeah, I
And
think
you
that's how we
make
did
sure
it
those
before, and I
5
think we're
ballots are there,
required.
You make sure those 5, well, that's part of the delegation process. That's part of all of this that you delegated to us, is making sure that they are, sorting
Oh.
them into categories for the board to review and approve. If you, like, I've got all the ones that are approved. I've got the ones that aren't approved for whatever reason. So that's how we've sorted them for your review and approval. If you want to look at them, you're welcome to. It's,
I just thought the statute said that was non-delegable, we had to at least spot check, but I could be wrong.
No,
I'm not
I
sure.
know our practice was, and I think we should review the statutes, but I think that we felt confident if we had a review on some of them. We thought that was our responsibility. So
so
I
I
don't
guess
think
for
we
this
established
meeting,
any particular percentage of the vote ballots.
I
They will
think last
decide if we
time we
have-
said, I remember at least in 2020, we said every board member would at least go through 3
Yeah.
individually and say, yes, they were correct. That's not a lot, but I mean, it was at least a spot check.
But is that over a certain number? I mean, like right now, if we've got maybe 25, 30, with each of us looking at 7 to 8, that didn't take any time at all. If we're suddenly looking at 200, you bet. Now we start going through the sample process at that point in time. So it's mainly, do we say anything over 35 ballots, we'll do sample. Anything less than that, we'll do, each of us can do.
But for each time, it's gonna change.
Oh, yeah, that's why I said we kind of lay out a criteria that if the next time it's over that number, we know we're gonna do a sample.
Okay.
okay, that works. So what I'm gonna do, because for this meeting, we're really doing 2 meetings in one. We've got 2 sets of ballots, one from the 12th, one from the 9th. I'm gonna give each of you half of the 12th, I'll give each of you half of the 19th, and you can spot check those. Now
Okay.
remember, you cannot
Of course, we
verbally,
can determine if they proper sample size.
You both have the-
Mathematical
Mhm.
ability to do that.
And
And that would change each one, depending upon each meeting we had, depending upon how many
And
ballots we did.
Well, the name's not
They don't want to do that.
okay, so
we should.
I'm gonna give you a stack of the
But you
19th,
recall us,
Okay.
correct?
so you can make sure they're there, and I'm
Okay.
gonna give you a stack of the 19th. This, I think, is the 12th.
Okay, so then we'll just stay out.
And just to refresh, we're looking to see if they have 2 signatures, so your
Yep, everything's
witnesses,
filled
and
out.
if there is a signature of the person who's up here,
Correct,
when it comes
and
back,
or a notary, right?
correct.
Okay. And we don't need to initial these, correct?
No,
Because that was the thing last time, remember, we had to initial invoice.
I don't think you have to initial each envelope.
We had,
I don't think they do. We just stamped them approved. I'll go back and stamp them all approved after.
Are you gonna collect these sheets when we're done?
No.
Do you want us to check these off?
You can, those are your sheets just for reference. Yeah, those are your sheets. We will start doing. Yes, they can open. And then also, I'll just let you guys know, we did have 3 that were not approved. They were missing witness information. We sent a letter with the ballot to the voter to let them know why. and we reissued that ballot.
Yeah.
Every time we do this, I have to learn. What we need is more elections.
Carrie, just a couple more here. So let me make sure I know what I'm reading. This is a military?
Overseas, but yes.
Overseas? All right, so what do we have? We have,
So this is like the documentation they fill out and send back with their electronic ballot.
okay, so this is not actual signature, all right.
Well, that would be, but it's a copy of the email to us.
Well, that's what I mean. Okay, so we have that. And then we have,
And that's just another, he further certifies his address.
okay,
These are just documents that came with them. I printed the whole thing.
all right.
you
So,
can just-
so normally we would be, so why don't we have this?
Well, because this is just, he emailed the back, so I had to print it out. So what I do is I staple all the documents to the front, and then the ballot I seal into an envelope. Because it still has to be sealed in something.
Okay, has this now been,
So this is one that has to be duplicated.
okay, and usually we did that, but we're not gonna do it.
No, we're gonna let staff do that, and typically we will have that done before meetings, and then you will review the ballot against the original to make sure it's
Okay,
marked
so,
correctly.
so the overseas ones do not require the same level of
No,
signatures.
correct. They don't have to have the two witnesses or anything.
All they have to do is certify.
Mhm.
So there's really not much for us to look at here,
No.
other than the first page.
And if you don't mind, I'm gonna give these to the ladies to start duplicating.
Okay.
Craig did that.
Which one to review? Just pass it out that one.
There is a knife right there. Oh, they gave me one here too. You girls are so organized.
Now, what do we do? Just give it to them?
We're just gonna put them in and then we are the ones that put them in the machine. Remember you? Yes, we did last time. Sometimes I did it, sometimes Richard did it.
So we keep do we keep these together when we do it, or does it matter?
No, no, they don't have to stay together. You can
Just pile them?
put the ballots face down just in case.
Okay.
So they're not on camera.
I'm ripping this thing up. I hate it.
I like this one very good. Here, let's slide it right through.
Try and- All right. First one to review. Ah, this is not in my skill set. I just don't want to damage them.
I like.
Is there a better way to do this than I'm trying to show me how you do it?
Here, try this guy.
Oh, so you just cut it up through the, okay, all
And
right.
this guy works very well right here too.
Well, that's,
It is 7. It's not your next or two people.
Does he need to check these?
Yeah, they check, he checked.
He checked these two?
I checked those.
He checked them.
And you have the ones like.
Mhm. They all need to check once you duplicate files.
We usually, well, I mean, how do you guys?
Are these the
You want
duplicates?
someone from each party to check them?
Well,
Because if
they
you're
did.
comfortable with that, then each party has checked them.
How many duplicates did you do?
There are 4.
I did put 2 in there. 'cause
Oh,
they
she
checked.
already put 2 in because they checked them.
Okay.
And you and Bill checked those 2. Did you open them? What?
Those that we're working on, they're just from the 9th.
12th, I think you guys had the 12th, yes, and they have the 19th. This one is a little different because we didn't have that quorum, so we did 2 meetings in one.
That's 4 ballots.
didn't we have a process where we used to approve these being put in this
The
hexagonal?
name is not.
I thought that's what we had.
Yes, you made a motion every time, it's not necessary.
Didn't click for you. I just want to make sure.
That's the
Yeah,
meeting, is-
Right.
Okay, so the process we just said.
I mean,
If
there's
you
a
would
lot
like to
wrong
make
with
a
it.
motion,
Why
you're
that-
welcome to make a
we don't-
motion,
we
but
don't
I
need to.
recommend
I would do
you do it as a whole, you just
Yeah,
do
my
one
number
motion for the
fell
whole meeting, not in
We're
fact.
not naming them, we're not listing the ballot numbers anymore. I just want to make sure we're not missing something we should do.
fact, calling out the numbers, I'm not sure where that from. Anyway, unless you trace it back to a particular main ballot. Are we finished with that process?
We are
Well, then,
a lot quicker than 2020, wasn't it?
26.
So we did that, we came out 26.
Yep.
Oh, so
26 ballots total
26 ballots total.
and 26 on the machine.
Okay,
well, if we have finished with that process, I think we're at the end of our agenda finally. And I apologize to you all for my premature attempt to close this meeting. But may I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
second,
All in favor?
Aye.
aye.
We stand adjourned. Good getting reacquainted with this process again.